Welcome, I'm Paul Mitchell, Professor of Agriculture and Applied Economics at the University of Wisconsin. And this video is part three of my videos on ARC and PLC sign-up recommendations for Wisconsin farmers for 2025. This is focused on the minor crops that we have here in the state. These are the three crops that have the next levels of base acres here in the States: barley, sunflower, and sorghum. And this is very similar to the previous table. You've got the PLC trigger as the first column, which is the effective reference price here in the state for this year. And on the far right are the projections from the USDA's November baseline at 575, for example, for barley, whereas the effective reference price is 495. And then in the middle is the ARC trigger. This is a new concept of calling that if you have the average yield in the county reaches the benchmark yield, how low does the national price have to go before you start triggering ARC payments? And you can see the numbers there: 506 and $20.15 per hundredweight, and 456 for the sorghum. Again, we're going to look at these numbers. I think I'm going to look at it visually for something a little more understandable. So here's barley. Blue is the projected price, 575. And then these all are at scale. So down there, the ARC trigger is at 506 and the PLC trigger is down at 495. You can see that the projected price is well above both the ARC and the PLC triggers. Neither is likely to pay, or both are unlikely to pay. My recommendation then in this case is choose ARC. Don't expect a payment, but there's always a small chance that local county yield will be low enough to trigger an ARC payment. And so just as a backstop, if you have to choose one of them, I always recommend ARC in these situations. Now for sunflowers, it's a little different this year. The projected price is down at $20.05 a hundredweight. Both the PLC and the ARC trigger are at $20.15 a hundredweight. So the projected price is below the triggers, so both are likely to pay. You can see that the prices are well below the trigger by 10 cents. So in this situation, my recommendation is to choose ARC. ARC is going to pay more than PLC in most cases, except when you have high county yields and a low national price. That can happen, but PLC is not a bad choice. But in this situation, I think ARC is generally the better choice, especially if you have low program yields or PLC yields. And the lower those yields get, the better and better ARC gets relative to PLC. In this situation, I recommend choosing ARC, but PLC is not a bad choice. The last one is sorghum. Now here again, you get the projected price down there at 380 in blue, and quite high up are both the ARC trigger and the PLC trigger. Again, both these programs are likely to pay, but ARC is likely to pay more. ARC payments are going to exceed PLC payments, except when you have that high county yield with low national prices, which can happen. But again, that PLC tends to be less and less of a preferred option as your program yields, your PLC yields are going down. And as those get lower, that tends to make ARC a better and better option because PLC pays less and less when you have a price loss. So in these situations, I recommend you choose ARC. It's not always the best choice. Sometimes there will be cases when you get PLC actually makes larger payments, but in most of those cases, ARC is also going to pay, just not as much as PLC. And in many more cases, ARC is going to make payments where PLC does not, or makes smaller payments. So quick summary: April 15th deadline. That includes for these minor crops. Enroll for 2025. Your recommendation or your elections will transfer to 2025 from 2024, and then you can update the elections if needed. I will monitor conditions and will update my recommendations as the sign-up period progresses, but I don't anticipate doing so. Barley is choose ARC. Neither is likely to pay, but there's always a small chance of a local county problem triggering some ARC payments. Sunflowers, I'm recommending ARC as well. There's some chances of ARC and PLC payments are likely small, but ARC has a slightly higher expected payments. Sorghum, both are likely to pay, but I'm still recommending ARC CO because it's likely to pay more on average and in more situations. ARC payments are generally going to exceed PLC payments, and when PLC pays larger, ARC is still going to make payments. It's just not as large as that few situations when PLC will pay more. So I'm recommending ARC.